Hello there. This is Eric Elliott, and this is Honest to Klaud. I'm here with my guest, Scotty Holiday. How are you doing, Scotty?
I am doing great. It's been a good week. It's been a busy week, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on, and I'm excited to talk some Star Wars with you.
hmm and but for this episode, we're primarily going to be focusing on other material that's outside of the films. So we got books. I don't have any video games physically in my hands, but we'll talk about those too. We can talk about comics all day. It's things that are part of the corporatized imperial machine, but it is less pressing for the people that are fighting to just live. If you out there, not saying you specifically, but anyone watching has disposable money and they want to help out and they love these projects, send it to one of these charity funds. There are dozens popping up because no one that is making this art and making the CEO billionaires should be starving. It's just that simple. Well, writing and acting, of course, because there's solidarity. I said with Brian that the visual effects animators should really get into this. And
oh yes, I have heard
this should be a trifecta.
The stuff that they make those visual effects, the people that make those visual effects, the deadlines that they're given for these impossible tasks, it's insane. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they start striking as well. Honestly, I feel like they should.
Yeah, I and I said before, I'm just like, I think like this already has steam, and I think a big part of it is like, yes, you have a lot of people on the ground, but what brings more prominence to people's minds are the bigger names when they get involved.
Exactly.
When The Rock gives money, when Leonardo DiCaprio gives money, and bigger name actors or bigger name writers, people pay attention. Those actually grab the general public's eyes. Because trust me, there's all kinds of unions. There's all kinds of like startups to challenge the system, the status quo, that a lot of Americans are just completely ignorant to. And I'm not trying to insult my nation or anything like that. I will do it in other ways, institution-wise. But I'm just saying about the people, like, they're more focused on how to get bread on the table. Just getting by. They're just, and we don't have the best schooling system in the planet. There's also that.
Very true. Very true.
But yeah, let's focus on extra material. So, probably a bit of a stereotype question. What is your either favorite Star Wars novel or one you think is underappreciated in the fandom?
I mean, anybody that follows me on social media, I'm sure they could pick out the answer to this question. I am not quiet about it, but I am a Dark Disciple stan through and through. I love me some Dark Disciple. It's my favorite Star Wars novel I have ever read. I think it's actually the first Star Wars novel I ever read that actually got me into reading, which, mind you, this was like a year ago. So up until like a year ago, I was I hate reading. I don't like it.
Oh, you read it when it was already like old hat kind of thing.
Oh yeah. It was so old because I think it came out I think it was 2015 that it came out. And yeah,
it was one of the early Disney canon novels.
Yeah, so I didn't actually read it until I'm sorry, it was 2021. So it was the first Star Wars novel I ever read. I didn't like reading before that, but I heard such great things about this book, and like I love the Clone Wars. Like I'm a huge Clone Wars stan, so I was like, I really like Ventress. Maybe I should give this book a try because like I want to read. Star Wars has so many great books. So I got the book because at this point, like we said, it was years old. So I think I paid like $7 for it. And I was like, if I don't like it or I'm just like reading is still not for me, what's $7? Like, it's fine, whatever.
I can relate. I've mentioned on the show and elsewhere because somewhere I appear a lot is like SSW Network.
Mhm.
That's how I got P, and I'm connected with some of the people that run that. I have ADHD, so honing in and just be like spending my time multiple days to read 400 pages. It's hard for me now. It was practically impossible for me as a child.
Mhm.
I'm just like, get out of my face. Like, if it wasn't for a grade and for me to stay in the class, I'm just like, uh,
Oh, you're better than me. I in school, I mean, I'm neurotypical, but I have lots of friends, lots of loved ones who are on the scale of neurodivergency.
yeah.
And with that, I know a lot of them love reading, but they've also talked about like they'll have to sometimes listen to the audio and read with the book at the same time to make sure they're honed in for it. I don't know what it was with me. I would just say, I don't feel like reading this. I wouldn't sit down and allow, it's like I wouldn't allow myself to even take the time to read. And in school, oh, I read the Spark Notes or copied other people's homework. I never read those books.
Mm.
Somehow I passed, but no, I never
Just
read
very good
those
guessing.
books. Pretty much. I mean, use your context clues at that
Uh-huh.
point.
Yeah. I think possibly my favorite Star Wars novel is Leia, Princess of Alderaan.
I've heard good
Um,
stuff about it.
I've only done audiobook version. I haven't like gone through the book or like like tablet screen.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't start doing uh, online novel reading until like I think this past year because
Right.
yeah, and like I'm starting to get more into the books. Like I'm slowly accumulating books very very lightly, and uh, I work on different things, especially art,
Hmm.
like drawing, and I do creative writing. Uh, so yeah, I don't always get to it, even if I'm interested in it.
No.
Um,
I mean, we're so busy as creators. There's so many books coming out all the time, like, and we're making our own art, like, trying to find time to just, you know, give to our art and then also give to just like reading. It's a balance that I feel like I'm always struggling with, but you know.
like like if I were the same age as I am now, like back in the 80s, I would have been
Mhm.
caught up super quick because there was only like 6 books released
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah.
And after Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire book, which I found at the thrift store, after this was
Nice.
released, it just like it was floodgates open of hundreds and hundreds of books
Yeah.
that would develop in the Legends catalog from 90s to 2000s to even to 2010s before Disney acquired it. And I think they're still holding on to like a similar pattern of how many books they produce.
Hmm.
Um, I do think Disney era is more selective for what they greenlight.
Yeah, I
Uh,
can see that too.
like Legends is just like anything. You got an idea, got
Yeah.
an idea. We'll just make sure it roughly stays in the same line because you know back then they had tiers of canon.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was like
literally.
this is like, oh, this is film canon, this is novel canon, and even that got dicey because you're just like, well, are the Bantam books this fall into the Del Rey section?
Yeah.
Are the junior novels fall into this? Where does the Ewok TV show and cartoon fall? Where does the holiday special fall? It was everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's way more streamlined now, and I think that's an important lesson that they learned is
Yeah,
just like
for sure.
keep everything together, and the only thing that's separate is visions.
Yeah,
That's the only thing that's separate. It, and we still have issues with retcons here and there.
sure.
Um, people probably will never. I mean, even though people love him, people probably never forgive Dave Filoni and his retcon with Kanan.
Or I mean the retcon with the Ahsoka novel too. Like he's got
Yeah,
like two big retcons out there. I love the man. I love the work he produces, but
yeah,
yeah, we don't always love a retcon unless
yeah.
it you know,
Like I told Angry Tasty Cakes.
maybe
Okay, he's someone that I've spoken to up here, and we were tied for a long time on appearances on SSW Network, and I just beat him. He's a cool guy. But I was saying to him, like, we want these projects to fit in like a perfect puzzle.
Yeah.
But the creatives, like, either they won't see eye to eye, or they'll miss something out. They don't call up one man's Wikipedia page Pablo Hidalgo for everything. Like, there's a lot of things that can go slightly off where not everything adds up. Like, we want to be like, oh, this is a beautiful tapestry, and like everything lines up. And like, nah, it mostly lines up, but not everything.
I mean, they do a great job the majority of the time with how vast the Star Wars universe is. The way that they
movies, comics.
Yeah, the way that they do line most of it up, like I'd say 90% of the time, it's amazing. My hat goes to them. But yeah, unfortunately, sometimes it's either a creative change or, you know, something got mixed up in the process, or they just greenlit something, and, you know, sometimes the movies and shows take precedence over the books. Not necessarily to me, but
and sometimes the books have to explain retcons in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is Leia able to remember what her mother looks like?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a notorious one I bring up. I also, on many of my episodes, I bring up that George Lucas stumbled ass backwards into an incestuous relationship between Luke and Leia.
Yeah, that's very true. That's a weird one too. It's just like, and we just accept it because we're fans and we love the movies. But if you think too hard about it, it's like, like that's kind of not my favorite thing to watch.
And as Nick from SSW Network says, that George Lucas was ahead of his time because, you know, if you look at the top categories on the hub.
Well,
but
not in our state.
Not planned out. And, you know, I have, you know, gotten to a few of the books mostly through audio. Like, once again, I listened to Leia, Prince of Alderaan. Really liked that.
Mm-hmm.
The last chapter actually got me to shed a tear. It was like really, really emotional.
That's how you know it's a good book.
Yeah. And another Leia book listened to was Bloodline. I really did enjoy that. I feel a little more disconnected, probably because back when I listened to it, I wasn't as familiar with, you know, the glut shadows of Force Awakens of like, oh, look, who are those senators being blown up? Kind of thing.
Yeah, very true.
But yeah, I now like, I still can say that I do like Corcella more, because we're not giving that much. That's why these books are coming through, because they realize that this world is way bigger than the motion pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it gave us a very small scope, and with every trilogy, every new spinoff, or, you know, cartoon series, it just shows like this is huge. Like, you know, I can only imagine like having a time machine and telling someone back in 1997, they're like, oh, this is all the things that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Did they be just like, what? What's that? Exactly. What the hell is an Inquisitor?
So true.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things, speaking of like giving those glup shittos kind of and explaining things that weren't explained in the movies, I just started reading Shadows of the Sith, finally. I don't know if you have read it, but
yes, that's the one book I have been reading. I'm like 48% through it.
Oh no, I'm like maybe 15. But like,
it is long. I will give you that.
Oh yeah, it's like 600 some pages, and I just started.
I'm determined though. I'm going to do this.
you and I both, honestly, because I'm like, I just got to the part where, and I'm not going to say any spoilers or anything, but Lando is finally like, okay, I need to go find Luke. So that's where I'm at in the book. So I haven't gotten past any of that yet. But I love that a lot of people who've suggested reading the book to me have said that it makes things and plot points and characters and whatnot from the sequel trilogy. It makes everything
Mostly the last one. Let's be honest, it's primarily the last one.
But it makes everything like so much, I guess, more interesting, but also explains a lot, which that's what I'm excited to get to in the book.
It's doing a juggling act where it's like bringing in other material that doesn't really affect the sequel trilogy. It explains retcons that are very confusing to people that everyone has after going to the theater. Yeah. And it also gives those explanations thematic weight, like actual things that you care about, because it's easy to have a checklist. It's harder to make, have a checklist and give you goosebumps.
Yeah, true. Yeah, some of the dark stuff that they've, like I said, I'm not far into the book, but just some of the stuff that we've learned about the Sith cultists so far, I'm like, I love spooky stuff. So like when that started and we started getting into that, I was like, ooh, I really like this. So I'm really excited to see where that's going to go to.
Like, I'm gonna be honest. After seeing the not mentioned last sequel trilogy movie, I did not like Ochi. I'm just like, who is this idiot who falls into the sand and he just stabs Rey's parents and now he's gone. I'm like, but you read like the Crimson Dawn comic.
Yes.
You read a little bit of Adam Christopher's work. Like, don't be wrong, bad bloke, but sometimes he's kind of entertaining. I like him way more. Like, he's snarky, but sometimes he's an asshole who beats up Dio. Like,
I know. He's so mean to Dio for no reason.
Because let's be honest, a lot of droids that are diminutive are kind of thought of as like kind of dog-like.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing of like, oh, he just like kicked a puppy, and it's like, oh.
But who kicks a puppy? Like, come on. You don't kick a puppy, but yeah, that's how you know it's a bad person. If they would kick a puppy, they're a bad person. But poor Dio.
But yeah, like, and I also say, I think it's that same chapter that it has my favorite description of a lightsaber I've ever read in my life. Like, it goes through like 5 different senses, and just does it poetically. I'm like, I need more of this. Put this in my veins.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the things I know from Star Wars books that I'm not a fan of, I haven't actually read myself because I'm very, 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 very low in my reading as far as Star Wars content.
You and I both. I've got 4 books on my list.
Like comics I can breeze through quick. I'm just like 1 hour, I'm done. 1 hour, I'm done. Books, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna need like 5 months.
I mean, I'm right there with you sometimes. Like I said, I've read 3 Star Wars books. I'm like 15% of the way through Shadows of the Sith, so don't feel bad. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, but a book that I'm actually reading that like is not bad. Okay, let me put a pin in it. It's not bad. Okay.
Okay.
But there's bad things in it.
Okay.
And it's Darksaber from 1985. And I know there's a lot of people that really do like this book, but I think this writer, I'm sorry to trash you, Mr. Anderson. Some of his flowery language to describe things are either like really juvenile or like make no sense.
Oh. Like
there's 2 times where he describes shadows as being oily. I'm just like, what does that mean? Okay. How is a shadow oily? And it would be just like different little stuff, or obviously this is what you call it, third person narration, like it's got God looking upon you. It's not like the character speaking it.
Okay, yeah.
The narration just has like a joke of like, whether or not Jabba the Hutt was born like humans are, or he was hatched. I'm like, what? What does this have to do with anything? It's like little things like that. And I'm not a big fan of the Hutt villain in this series. I think he's a little too much. But yeah,
Is
like some of the dialogue for the characters, I'm just like, okay, you know how they speak, you know how Han, you know how Luke, the Emperor speak, you got that down pat. Some of the decisions they make, like so this is kind of like a sequel to the Eye of Palpatine.
okay. I've read no Legends books, so if you've referenced them, I will not know. Is this the one with
Okay,
the Hutt Jedi that Leia fights or something?
No, I don't think so. But,
Okay.
okay, this is one that this book right here has to juggle like a big plot point from the last one,
Okay.
and I don't know who. Like, I guess I blame both for having it in there
Okay.
because like who do you blame? The person that introduced it or the one that like continues to make it dumb? I'm sorry, Mr.
Wow.
Anderson. You know, I'm even though I'm making fun of you, I still want to give you your flowers.
Yeah.
Um, you ever heard of the character of Callista?
No.
Okay, so back in the '90s Legends Day, and I was talking about this with Ingrid Cakes, is that
Mhm.
Luke goes onto an Imperial vessel, big ship, right, called the Eye of Palpatine. He finds a computer. The computer has uh, like the soul of a woman trapped in it, as
Oh,
you do.
okay. Yeah.
And apparently, this woman is like uh, at least like 50 years older than Luke is. Like she died years ago, and she's
Okay.
just been trapped in this computer. And he was determined to get her soul out of the computer. And by this time period, it's well past the original trilogy era, and Luke is running a Jedi school.
Hmm.
You know, he has Padawans and all that. The soul of Callista goes to one of his students and inhabits her body.
Okay.
He like sparked a relationship with Callista, and they were able to connect through the Force. And now he's be able to continue it now that she has a body, which
Oh, but it's with one of his
like
Padawans. Ooh, that's kind of weird.
well, I mean, yeah, that poses ethical questions of like authority. But another thing that I think is questionable is like that wasn't like a that wasn't like a recently dead student. I'm just like that's like you wake up one day and someone just has like taken over your soul.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's some horror movie thing right there.
Yeah.
And but oh, cruel irony when Callista is in this other woman's body, she doesn't have the Force anymore. So Luke doesn't feel like he can connect with her because the Force was pretty much solely based. The romantic relationship was solely based on the Force.
Oh,
So he
yeah.
spends this book being mopey and like being desperate to try to figure out how to give her Force back. I'm just like, wow.
Interesting. And now, so this is, I'm not sure about the timeline. So,
This would be at least a decade after Return of the Jedi.
so no Mara Jade in this, or is this before her?
Mara Jade was a character, but they weren't in a relationship yet.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just trying to
because she
figure out
worked for
the
the
timeline.
Emperor even before he was brought back by cloning.
Oh, okay, so she's a
Stop.
hand still. She's a hand of the Empire
Okay,
still.
if we ever get another like canon reboot in how many decades, can we not bring back the Emperor with a clone? Like, can we stop this?
No, no, thank you. We'll take somebody new.
Okay. Well, why don't we move on to some comics?
Okay.
Um, so, like, what's your least fave in the comic sphere as far as Star Wars?
So, don't judge me,
Okay.
but I don't actually buy the comics, but I watch people's reviews of the comics
I mean,
on
hell,
YouTube.
like you can just go to YouTube and someone will have like motion comics, and you can just watch that.
I mean, that's pretty much what I've done. I remember when I was a kid, I had a Star Wars comic. and I can like see it in my mind. I do not remember what it was. I think it was some EU story, which if I saw it now, I'd probably like, oh, I know who that character is, and I get this story. But like back then, I don't know who these people were. I need to go see if I can find it at my parents' house, honestly, because I'm really curious as to what it was. But I think the most exciting thing for me has been Kira's reintroduction in the comics, because I love her and
Yeah.
I just want more of her. So her reintroduction in the War of the Bounty Hunters, and then with the Crimson, what is it, the Crimson
Crimson
trilogy,
Rain.
like
Yeah,
the
Crimson
Crimson
Rain.
Rain trilogy. I've really enjoyed what I've heard from that for some recent comics. What about
Okay.
you?
Okay, so I think one of my favorite comic series is the Poe Dameron series.
Okay.
I just love its adventure. I've always been a big fan of Poe. I love the humor. Um, I like that. It started to make me care about Lorson Tekka because before I'm just like, who's this old dude?
Yeah, he's now dead like 10 minutes in. Yeah.
And I also have mentioned that I'm a big fan of Phil Noto's art.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it is just a really well done series, and like tell there's like real heart in it. Like I know some people are more for like I need the more badass, comic. Like I know everyone and there so many Star Wars fans are just nutting on themselves for the Darth Vader series. I'm just like, okay, I know it's cool, but can you chill for just a moment?
I
Okay.
was literally thinking when you said some people want action, I was like, then they need to go read the Darth Vader series, like whatever. Literally, oh my god.
I'm just like, don't me get wrong. I think it's so dope, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's like in everyone's mouth.
Everybody wants.
It's like, you go to a cinephile and they're just like, oh my gosh, have you seen 2001: A Space Odyssey? I'm like, yes, I know it's good. Can you mention something other than 2001: A Space Odyssey? And just like Godfather, I'm like, of course you're gonna mention Godfather.
Yeah.
I know they're good. I know they're really good, but I
Mhm.
want some more flavors.
Yeah, for sure. No, I
Um,
completely agree with that. That's a great way to put it.
yeah. A comic series that I started reading and it it kind of puts me to sleep. It like I know it seems like I'm just I'm not a Legends hater. Okay, it just some of my least favorite stuff in Star Wars happens to be Legends.
I get that.
I think it's more about the bulk and there was less handrails for what they had to do. Just like do it.
Yeah.
I don't like the Mara Jane. Sorry, not Mary Jane. Mara Jade comic.
Mhm.
She had a short run series, and I'm just reading it. I'm just like I just get tired.
Well, I guess George Lucas didn't like her either. I think that's a big thing, that he was not a fan of the character.
I mean, he was down with. Oh, look, this character looks cool. We'll throw it into this cartoon. We'll throw it into this movie, and
Yeah.
that's all he did because he didn't care really what they're putting in the books. He didn't read any of the
Yeah.
then canon novels, and
Mhm.
I don't think he should be beholden to do it.
Mhm.
Like he, for the most part, made this baby.
Yeah.
He can he can parent how he wants,
Yeah. True.
but now he gave custody to someone else, and now they run the ship.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Uh, I was not expecting to get into parenting metaphors for Star Wars, but here we
I
go.
mean, but it worked really well. So
Yeah,
I really liked
it's
that.
always the father and son folly in these stories,
Yeah, for real.
and the mother who doesn't get enough screen time.
Or she dies.
Um, but yeah, I'm just not a big fan of that series. Also not a huge fan of the art, but I've seen worse art. Like I've talked about how I'm not a fan of some of the art in the issues of the mainline Star Wars comic series, like the main
Mhm.
title. It's just like a weird uncanny tracing just everywhere for like 20 straight issues. I'm just like,
Oh.
can we skip this?
I mean, that's a big part of comics, is the art. So if you're not really into the art, I imagine
Yeah.
that makes it a little harder to enjoy the story, because it's harder to get into.
Now, I do think it looks more aesthetically pleasing than someone I've seen do pretty decent work. But I think for them to make it look really cool, they have to go more abstract.
Okay.
You know about the Mace Windu comic series that came out? I think maybe back in 2017.
Vaguely familiar with it,
Okay,
yes.
the covers are amazing. Interior, no, 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 no. I'm sorry to the man who put pen, ink, whatever, stylus. It's just not working, baby. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I'm someone that tries to stay very positive, but at the same time, I'm just like, if I don't like something, I'll just say, not for me. I can say why. Like, I think a lot of people, especially in Star Wars YouTube, they just spew hate and without any like real intelligibility.
Well,
It's
yeah,
not
and if
really explaining.
they don't like something, they want to basically scream into the YouTube atmosphere to be like,
Yeah,
"This is why you should not like this because I don't like it." And there's a difference between like what you're saying, where it's like if we don't like something, we can say, "Yeah, I don't love this," but I'm not going to sit here and spend all of my time online talking about how much I hate this one thing. Like that's not fun. But that's just my opinion.
yeah, yeah. And I have no red laser eyes in my thumbnails.
You and I both, but I do have to laugh when I see
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
Every time I see the laser eyes, it's just
The
so
only
fun.
person, the only people that can get away with it are like people that are cool with us. Bombad Cast. Obviously, they're doing satirical SSW Network.
Ex-
That Gay
exactly.
Jedi. Like, obviously, they're making fun of those kind of people, and like when you watch
Yeah.
the video, it's very clear.
Yeah, I mean whenever we do it or they do it, it's just like a almost like making fun of the people who use it in a serious sense, which
Yeah,
is that's what I love.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I guess we can finally get to as Hank Hill would say, the video games.
The video games,
Yes,
yes.
the video games. Um, I haven't played a lot of Star Wars games. Part of the reason is that I haven't had a console since I was like 14.
I mean, there was a lot of games that were probably out from the time you were born to the time you were 14. There was more than
Yeah.
we've gotten recently.
Like the games that I delved into heavily, a lot of them were the Star Wars Lego games.
Okay, yeah.
From back in the 2000s, I really did enjoy those.
Mhm.
Um, it still holds like a big, hold of nostalgia in my heart.
Oh yeah, that Dex's Diner with all the like the minifigs running around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Um, and the fact that in their version episode 3, they have clones in disguise because that was in the original script, but it was removed for the movie.
Yes. 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 So it's like
That's a crazy thing that's like still shows like kind of the inner workings
mhm.
of what was going on during that time period. But yeah, I was also really into the Battlefront game, 2004. I
Okay.
played the shit out of it, and I get goosebumps over here. The bum 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 burn burn sound
I
effect.
was I was so bad at those games and like all of my friends that were into Star Wars, they all played Battlefront. So if I went over to their house, I'd be like, "Let's play Battlefront." And I'm like, I think I'd just rather watch you play and I'll just do something else on my own. I recently started playing Battlefront 2 2018 and I'm playing the campaign because the game was on sale. So it's like, I game now. So like I think I'll be better at this than I used to be. No, I'm still pretty bad at it.
Mm.
I wish I was good at first person shooters, but like something about the aiming and shooting and having to shoot at moving targets, I don't know. But I assume you're good at it.
And, no, I've always been taking L's as far as first person shooters, but I still have fun.
Okay, well, that's what
Like
matters in
I'm
the
just the
end.
one that like when I would play the 2004 Battlefront game, I'll be the one person running away from all the bases and just trying to see how far I can get off the map into the glaciers on Hoth.
Yeah, yeah, for real.
I was just having fun, just randomly shooting and running, not caring what was going on.
I mean,
Uh,
that's the point. As long as you're having fun with the game you're playing, then that's what matters. Now, there were some times with 2018's campaign where I was getting frustrated, so I had to stop playing it for a couple of days because I was like, I'm not having fun. I'm just getting angry. But I picked it up today actually, and I finally got past the point I got stuck at. So we're making progress.
So, did you play any other Star Wars titles in your younger days?
So it's so funny that you mentioned this. We were talking about this on my podcast recently, and they were like, "Oh, well, you're the gamer." I'm like, "I'm not the gamer. What are you talking about? I've only played." And then I started thinking of the games that I played, and then I started thinking of like, I just kept thinking of, "Oh, I played this one. Oh, and that one, and that one, and that one." And I was like, "Okay, maybe I am a gamer." So I think the first Star Wars game that I recall playing was Jedi Power Battles.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, it's like kind of set up like your Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it's a
Fight.
platformer beat 'em up type game, exactly. And I sucked at it. I couldn't even get past like the Trade Federation levels. But one of my favorite things about that game is just how iconic like the opening sequence was, because this was still, I want to say it was a year or two after episode 1 came out. So like the Jedi Council, we didn't know any of their lightsaber colors. So you've got
Mhm.
Mace Windu with a blue lightsaber, you got Obi-Wan with a blue lightsaber, Qui-Gon with a green, Plo Koon, I think he has a yellowish orange lightsaber,
Mhm.
and I think it's Adi Gallia has a
Yeah,
red lightsaber. So but like it was iconic, the
yeah.
opening sequence. But yeah, this was before like every Jedi's lightsaber before we saw them, so they just kind of took the liberty with it.
Yeah, I can only imagine like why does Adigalia have a red lightsaber? Like Adigalia, are you trying to tell us something? Are you coming out of the Sith closet? What's going on here?
I don't, well, I think that was the big thing before, is before the prequels came out, like that's when George really said the like green and blue, red is bad, because there
Yeah,
was lots of old art with Jedi having like in like the comics and stuff of having all these different lightsaber colors. So, and they've tried to work that into canon.
yeah. I definitely have seen Obi-Wan a few times have a magenta lightsaber in the old '70s comics.
And I think, I want to say, I think Yaddle for the longest time was portrayed with an orange lightsaber. So yeah, they were going crazy with the lightsabers. I kind of miss it, to be honest, because
See, I bet if years down the line, if Grogu doesn't wield a green lightsaber, someone's gonna like riot. There's like only the Yoda type alien characters can have green lightsabers. That has to be a rule. They have to be short.
yeah, but like that, if in your spare time, please go look up the opening sequence, or I will send it to you. It's pretty crazy. Now, I know
There was the battles game, right?
Jedi Power Battles, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you should
I'm
totally
writing
look.
that down right now.
Please do. Are you familiar with the Dark Forces games at all, or the Dark Forces? I think there was books about it too.
Are those the ones that have the live actors in it?
Yes, they've got the live actors, but then they've also got the weird, like super old CG scenes. It's
Mm.
bizarre. I sucked at those games too. I don't remember when I got them, but I got them and I couldn't get past the first level. So I barely played those. But the one game that I played when I was really young that I did love was Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. And that was a real time strategy game. So, like your World of Warcraft type game.
Yeah.
Um, I loved that game to death. Once again, not very good at it, but I played it a lot. And originally, it was just like they
It's not
were
being successful is about enjoying yourself.
exactly. I had plenty of fun building my walls and using cheat codes, and like it was great. But after episode 2 came out, they did a expansion pack for the game because it was all just like OT characters and civilizations. But after episode 2, they did the clone campaigns expansion,
Mm,
so it added stuff from like episode 1 and episode 2, which was super
yeah.
cool because like that was my like growing up, that was my Star Wars. So when that got added
Yeah.
in, that was
It
really
also feels validating, like it's real. It wasn't affecting my imagination. Like they're bringing it into other mediums that I enjoy.
exactly. And I loved that game so much. Honestly, there are times where I wish I could boot it up, but like I have a Mac and you cannot play it on a Mac. So
Mm.
I guess, well, I guess there's ways that you can play it. I'm not smart enough to do that. But I also played the Revenge of the Sith video game of like the movie.
Yeah.
Did you play that one, or had you seen anything about that one?
I played it very briefly, and then I didn't. Like, once again, I was playing way more Battlefront and the early
Yeah,
Lego games.
yeah.
Those were my thing, and I look back. I just on some other games that came out around the same time. I just like, yo, I wish I got into that. I would have like sunk in so much time and be glued to the screen. Like Bounty Hunter.
Okay,
I
yeah.
wasn't around for that.
Oh,
But I
okay.
wish I was. Like, I look on it, and even though I never played in my life, I get a nostalgic feeling watching like YouTube plays of it. Like,
Yeah,
a lot
that
of the games I experience are just through people playing it online, whether it's without commentary or with commentary, kind of thing.
yeah. No, that's super cool. I think I never played the Bounty Hunter game, and that's the one that's about Jango Fett, right?
Yep.
Okay, I never played that game, but I know with the Revenge of the Sith game, it's like a weird. It was like a weird fever dream when I was playing it because, of course, you play through Mustafar, Anakin versus Obi-Wan in the
Yep.
game, and I was playing as Anakin, and I ended up killing Obi-Wan on Mustafar, and I was like, "That's not what happens in the movie."
Yeah.
Like, it threw me off so much because I was like,
It's a fanfic ending.
exactly, but I wasn't expecting it. So I wasn't expecting to literally kill Obi-Wan because I
Yeah.
think it was after the moment where Anakin, does the flip over where Obi-Wan slices his limbs. Nope, I killed Obi-Wan in the game, and I was like, oh. And then there was a whole cut scene where I
Mhm.
think he goes and kills like Anakin kills the Emperor after. It was great, but it really threw me off when I was playing it.
Mhm.
It was very interesting for sure.
Which kind of sounds like father, well, grandfather, like grandson, like kill your old creepy master that just sits on a chair and shoots lightning.
I mean, it's yeah, it pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean, imagine how if that was the ending, how different things would have been. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like it like when you watch prequels, like if you have previous knowledge, like if you're not like just a kid, like that's the first movie seeing, then instinctively which characters, like, okay, they have to have plot armor. This
Yeah,
has to fall into this section. Like, she gotta have the babies, like, and she can die. It doesn't really matter to the overall narrative.
hmm
Uh, but I think books are a little better because I think they can suck you in easier to not realizing, oh, they can't die.
yeah.
Sometimes,
I mean, that's
uh,
like I talked
even
about
even
Dark.
though consciously that, okay, well, I've seen the sequel trilogy. Han's not gonna like die in this book, but
Yeah,
it's still something about just the way they describe things. Like, it's
exactly.
easier at making an environment that you're stuck in. Like you feel meandering in the, well, I don't know the best way to say it, but you just feel similar as they do because
Yeah, you're
you're able
sucked
to.
into that point of their story, and that's like with Dark Disciple. Before I knew the book, I already knew the ending. I knew that Ventress died in the book. However, when that part came up in the book, I was not ready for it because I was sucked into the book. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to die. Like she's dying right now. And I totally forgot because I was so sucked into it. But I think really cool things is with the video games too. They have those different endings. Like the Revenge of the Sith game. I played Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. Those games you can do so many different paths that have different endings. I did the Force Unleashed 1 and 2. They both have light side and dark side endings. I think that's some of the cool stuff about games is they can kind of blur the lines between what's canon and what's not. And
Yeah,
that's some of my favorite things about them because you can kind of choose your own adventure.
yeah. Um, I think they veered more away from that in
Oh yeah.
more the current games. I mean, part of it is like there's less titles,
Yes.
um, because LucasArts really isn't a thing anymore. It's
Yeah.
just like other big name production teams like Ubisoft and EA that
Yeah.
are heading it. So it's a different dynamic right from the back. And of course, a lot of people have criticized the microtransactions of a game like Battlefront 2,
Oh yes. Like,
that connection.
I wasn't playing the game at the time, but I knew all about the drama about the microtransactions.
Yeah. But like, let's not look, just with rose tinted glasses in the past as if like, there wasn't anything similar. Like Angry Tasty Cakes told me that he like gave away, a few $1,000s to like, was it like, I think Swartor or Kotor.
Oh, SWOTOR, yeah, the Old Republic MMO.
Yeah, like you just like getting little upgrades and like this and that. Like you can easily get sucked in, and like they make it I would say that EA runs their things more like a casino type,
Yeah.
but SWOTOR operates more like a drug dealer. It's like, oh, you want this little taste, and you get more and more, and then before you know it, it's like you got nothing in your pockets.
Yeah, no, that's another great analogy for it. I love that.
So now a game that I've played a little bit that I don't think is bad by any stretch, but I wasn't a huge fan of the way they operate the dynamics. Like some games, I'm not a fan of like sometimes how they set up the point of view and how you get kind of like jump and how the camera moves. Or one thing I can't stand in games that like around the time of like 2010 where they start doing this, where they do a split screen and then it starts turning based on
the Lego games. The Lego games were bad about that.
Like there was like a 5-year period where they were like doing this incessantly, and I'm glad we moved on from that point.
It was
the Clone Wars Lego game, the third Star Wars game, is notorious for that, and I don't like that aspect at all. I like the first two Star Wars Lego games. Doesn't have any of that. I know it doesn't have as great graphics, but I think it maximizes in like just it's just like a cool game to play. Yeah. And I think the real Lego game that's like a great upgrade to that dynamic is the Skywalker Saga Lego game, which I really do enjoy. So yeah, I know I'm old, and back in my day, the Lego characters they didn't speak. They did mama.
Oh yes, and they grunted and like yeah, literally.
And now we got voice actors. We get actual actors from the Clone Wars, doing Obi-Wan and all that. Yeah. But I still think they're fun, and I think for the most part they do a lot of really good humor.
That's the thing. They're funny. They're really funny.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best charms that they have, other than like, you get to crack something open and then you like, and then you create something and then you get to have like a, spaceship or something. Yeah. Like it's wild. So, have you ever thought to yourself, like, I mean, I don't know how much you dig into, being creative other than focusing on the YouTube thing, but do you ever get into Star Wars writing, like fanfic kind of thing?
I read fanfic from time to time, but see, anytime I've tried to write in the past, I get stuck doing way too much dialogue. So I haven't tried to write anything on my own in forever. I mean, I script some of my videos, but never like actual storytelling. I wish I could, but it'd be the Terra Sunube fanfic of how amazing he is. That's what mine would be.
Yeah, I do like some Terra Sunube. But yeah, like I do a bit of it. Like I just do like one-off fan fiction of like certain characters. I've been doing my own version of the last sequel movie to be released because I was just like, I could write some better.
Yeah, why not?
I'm not. I don't hate JJ. Okay, he gave me one movie that I really do love. The other one, not so much.
Yeah, I mean that's the great part about fanfic, though. You can tell whatever story you want.
Yeah, and maybe one day I'll get someone other than me to read it, and I'll talk about it on it. And anyway, one of the things I bring that up is like had like a pitch in my brain of like if I was going to go to Lucasfilm or EA or whatever, what would be a Star Wars game I would greenlight as like a concept. I was thinking about what if we made Janna the main character of a game.
Love her. Yes.
I was just like thinking to myself, I'm just like, well, you have like obviously Lando and Janna meeting up at the end of the movie. We're still not saying the name of. I like how I say it like it's cursed or something. But yeah, like they just kind of seem to go off because it's just like I guess there's some kind of lineage. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's kind of seemed at the end of the movie. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what if they went to a planet, they crash land, and like Lando kind of has to be your like Oracle to your Batman. And like you have to be someone that has to survive against crazy aliens on this planet. Leftover Force Order members and leftover Final Order members. Like because if you think there's not remnants of them, you're crazy. Like there's no way they just like, oh look, they're all dead after this one battle. Like there has to be a lot more. I'm just like, I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, there's a lot of great games where it's just like survival and you like take people out with like arrows. And just like Janna's perfect for that.
Oh yeah, like the Tomb Raider ones.
Yeah. I'm just like do Star Wars Tomb Raider basically with Janna.
That would be cool. I like Janna a lot. I would like to get more of her story. So I love that idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like another thing I thought I could bring up is one of the great things about our books, our video games, and our comics is that it allows us not to only realize that different sides of characters we don't know about, but it introduces characters that the mass public is just unaware of. And one thing that comes with that is that we are starting to see good and multiple examples of like LGBTQ representation. I thought it would be perfect for me to ask someone that is non-binary and queer, like how have you like responded and like adapted to like, wow, I can read characters that like I can relate to, and people that I'm cool, people that I'm befriended and families with they can see themselves in.
I mean, it's so important to me, and that's the thing. Before we had LGBTQ queer characters in the books and even in some of the movies, it was more of kind of having those fanfics and fan ships that you would kind of create where these characters may not be queer, but
like I love That Gay's Jedi's series. Seem queer. Like I love that series because I'm just like, you know what? I can see what you mean there.
Exactly.
I'm not mad at it.
That's a great series that they do. And I know for me specifically, one of my favorite queer ships is from a video game. I'm very pro Cal and Dagan from Jedi Survivor, but like obviously their characters are we don't know if they're any flavor of queer, but that's the fun in it. Now that we have more characters who are queer, there's tons in the High Republic. Dr. Afra's a big one as well. And it's funny because whenever people
we now know Luke is bi.
Yes, and we love it, and that's
it's confirmed now. Like, it's not just conjecture.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge universe. Like to be not some flavor of queer in a universe of so many different species and people, like that doesn't make any sense. And as a queer person, when it comes to seeing that representation, I know a lot of people who are against queer representation in general. They're like, well, why do we need queer people? And it's like because
it's unrealistically straight.
Yeah, and like you can see yourself in these characters because cis white male or just cis male, cis female, they're in a heteronormative relationship. Like I guess that's the majority, and it's like, well, I would like to see myself in a character too. Like I think everybody, no matter their sexuality, their gender, whatever, should be able to see themselves represented in something that they love. And that's what I'm hoping we get more of it. We're getting more slowly but surely, and I am thankful for it. But like I said, with with what I mentioned before. That's another great thing, is just as fans, we get to make up these ships or make up these fanfics as well. It's just so fun, but getting to see it more in the forefront now as they push in more diverse stories with more diverse characters and adding in queer representation, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Now, a joke I've made about myself is like I'm the gayest straight person you'll ever know. When you like stream Jedi Survivor, is another game I think is great.
Yeah.
As well as Fallen Order. I'll say like, oh yeah, you got the guns out, and just like, oh yeah, Bode's handsome. I'm willing to admit that. There's been so much not just heteronormativity, but a fear of like, oh, mostly guys is like, oh, I might be gay, so I gotta just like push that aside and just like, well, if you think that cis women can say, oh, Beyonce's hot, why can't you do the same? And like, I'm not saying you have to go smash, okay?
Yeah.
That's not the thing. Just admit that they are an attractive person. That's it. Just take it easy.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be in a sexual way, but like if you see somebody and you're like, wow, they're very attractive, good for them.
Yeah, and sexuality is also more complex than a lot of people like truly understand, because a lot of people can just be attracted to personality more than anything. Just like there's plenty of asexual people that date people because they just like that person so much. It's not about what is in between their legs or how they necessarily identify.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, with Star Wars, it's such a huge galaxy. Like, you can't just be straight. Like,
and that's what Holdo said.
I was gonna say, there's even the line from Holdo to Leia talking about really in such a vast galaxy, like, and you only like human males. Like, come on, girl, come on.
She called you white bread boring out here.
Pretty much, and I'm like, Leia's too sassy anyway to be straight. Like,
and I'm glad I brought someone else with that kind of perspective as you are, because just like every other guest I've had is just cis, male, straight, just like, where's the flavor?
I got plenty of flavor.
Okay. So I think we can start to wrap up a little bit. What we'll say is that make sure you check Scotty's YouTube channel. You do a lot of really cool stuff.
Thank you.
You also are 1/3 of Wayseekers. I almost said Wayfinders. I'm sorry, it's Wayseekers.
Yeah, not Shadows of the Sith. We're more High Republic of a name.
Okay. So I'm sure you saw me do my episode with Brian Fantasy, so you know that I do a glut shadow of the episode.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the character of P3NUT?
No, but I can Google them.
You don't need to do that. I got you covered, okay?
Okay.
You can also pronounce their name as Peanut.
Okay. Okay.
Quality names right here. Does this character look familiar to you?
Oh yeah, looks like a nutcracker.
Exactly.
An astromech nutcracker.
Now, I did not intentionally give you a holiday-themed character and your name is Holiday. That was not intentional, but it works out perfectly.
It works great, yeah.
I'm sure you are tired of hearing Christmas jokes surrounding your name in your life.
Every day's a holiday for me.
Okay. This is a astromech who worked for the Galactic Republic during the Clone Wars. P3 was utilized during Life Day.
Okay.
They aided in supplying treats.
Oh, that is so cute. I love that.
P3 appeared in Star Wars Clone Wars Adventures, an online game available from 2010 to 2014.
Huh. Interesting. Yep. I love that.
It's something that seemingly just stopped being an online game once not far after Disney acquired the franchise.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
For each purchase in game of this character, like you go to your screen, you just like, oh, I want to buy that character. Like a lot of games do that.
Yeah.
For each purchase that you do with your real money, they give $10 to the Child's Play charity drive.
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, it was something that they ran the charity from December 21st to the end of the year, and they would do that for each year the game was available. When they were able to get to that time period. Outside of the Christmas time, Peanut was replaced by R2KT, the pink one.
Okay, yep. Mm-hmm.
And if you can't tell, he's designed like a nutcracker. Like it's Christmas themed. Life Day is a Star Wars version of Christmas. Like it's not a big stretch. And just like it has like a huge open jaw like a nutcracker has.
Yeah.
And just like, so does the Star Wars universe have nutcrackers? Like what's going on here? Like, is there a planet of nutcracker people?
Oh god, that honestly sounds terrifying.
I mean, there's already pretty terrifying things in the Star Wars universe when you think about it. Like, can you imagine being stuck with the mob monster from Solo?
Oh no.
Absolutely terrifying.
No, thank you.
But yeah, you could still buy this character after this charity drive, but it just wouldn't count for the charity.
No, I love that though. That not only was it related to Life Day, which was so pushed down so far back in the day, but like also just that it had a charity tied to purchasing the character as well. That's great. It's so wholesome.
Yeah, it's something that is good to give you the feels of the spirit, because you're doing something good for someone else, like
For
kids.
sure.
Like it works perfect because kids presents, kids charity, Christmas time. It's all in that kind of same link that everyone's familiar with. Like I've been a part of a toy drive around Christmas time for when I was in community college before. So like I know a little bit how it works, but like I'm not expert as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But I think a great place for P3 to show up would be one of the Lego Holiday cartoon specials.
Oh, for sure.
Like just do another holiday one. Just like people really like the last one. I think it's pretty good. They do another holidays. I'm just like, if there's something that sells, no matter what it is, it's Christmas. Christmas specials for cartoons. Sometimes it's the only thing they replay from that series.
True, very true. It's the only special, at least. Yeah. Who doesn't love a holiday special?
Yeah. I mean, other than that, Star Wars holiday specials. All right. Is there any questions you have for me, or anything you want to like bestow upon the Klaud audience?
Now I'm trying to think of something. I feel like I need to come up with something really smart to say. You know what? Enjoy Star Wars. Read the books. If you are someone like me who did not like reading for the longest time, but you love Star Wars, try reading a Star Wars book about a character you like, because you might surprise yourself and end up crying 3 times while reading the book. And it'll leave you emotionally scarred, but you're going to love every minute of it.
All right. Of course, I always leave a playlist of my appearances on other channels, which includes Bombardcast. We're good friends with the other Scott.
Yeah, Scotty and Jerry, love them.
Yeah, they're good people. And you can see me tomorrow on SSW Network. I'll probably be talking about my Zillow Ray theory again.
Love
All right. Nice having you over, and we love you.
Thank you so much. I really had fun.